We speak now with advocate Christa Klokow, Senior Manager, Companies and Clerks Corporations of Companies and Intellectual Property Commission. A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for speaking to us. What are the main reasons that companies end up being deregistered? As we mentioned in that report by my colleague, that some of this has been in the works for 3 years.
Right. Thank you very much for the invitation. And yes, so we need to understand something from the get-go. In South Africa, we've got a very interesting principle that applies, what we call survivalist registration. In South Africa, we register businesses and companies and close corporations in the hope of getting opportunity, and not necessarily because we have one. So what happens is, from the get-go on registrations, and as rightfully said, we register thousands of companies in a month, is that they're already inactive. They don't have economic opportunities. And you add that into, if you do have a viable idea, enterprises do fail. I think the rate of research shows about 80% of companies or registered businesses fail in the first 2 to 5 years for various reasons. So there are many, many reasons. Another thing that we concerned about at the SABC is the lack of understanding. Once you register a company or close corporation, it unfortunately comes with obligations. And over time, we are not updated as the SABC as to the correct addresses of the directors, contact details, so we can't get in touch with them. So during all our presentations, we do encourage companies and close corporations to actually ensure that their detail with the SABC is always up to date in order to receive notifications like reminders for annual returns and those type of things. So we do have a free learning course for directors that are unsure as to how to, what their obligations are. It's on our website. It's the iLearn platform. It takes you through the entire Companies Act and directives as to what you need to do in terms of the Companies Act to help you to stay compliant and to manage the maze of your obligations in terms of the Companies Act.
So I see that for many of these, it's companies who have not filed annual returns, say, for the past 5 years, and there's a thinking that if you haven't done so, it's an easy out, as in you don't have to do anything. I just firstly wanted to understand if this is the case, but secondly, when we say companies that have failed to file annual returns, what if they're not operational? As you say, a lot of people will register companies and actually with this thought that it's aspirational but never actually use them.
So we have to understand that the Companies Act, and I think most legislation, indicates that you have got a legal obligation. And especially in the Companies and Close Corporations Act, your obligations are regardless whether you were operating or not. So in our education regarding annual returns, we describe annual returns like an annual renewal of your car being on the road. We need to have the latest information to make sure that, because we are the national registry of all companies, close corporations, cooperatives, and also intellectual property in the country, we have to make sure that the information is up to date because of the national value of the registry that we hold. So a lot of this information comes outdated, and then annual returns is a mechanism to make sure that those that do not file, we make the assumption that you are inactive, you're not trading, so we have to take you off the company's registry. But as part of the process, we do send out notifications, do publications, we engage with our stakeholders, which is banks as such, the accounting profession, the legal fraternity, to say, listen, we are starting this process. If you've got clients, you need to help us to encourage them to be compliant. So we do have other mechanisms trying to create and remind people of their obligations. But as I said, contact details get out to date. But in a way, to come back to the actual question regarding whether it's an easy out, it can be regarded as an easy out in the sense that you don't have to voluntarily apply then for deregistration if your business didn't take off, or you just want to clear out all your administration and make sure that everything is up to date with all your business. You're not going to use it. You don't want to have that worry of what's going on. So you can apply a voluntary deregistration. So either way, annual returns can be seen as an easy way out in that regard. But what people should really know, even if you're deregistered, you are still liable for all the duties and liabilities that the company has incurred during the period of its lifespan. So you can never run away from your tax obligations, your obligations with a service provider, for example. When you voluntarily apply for deregistration, they can object if they find out that you were voluntarily applying for deregistration. Say, okay, sorry, there is something going on here. And also the same with annual returns. Creditors will go to court, for example, in order to reinstate the company, in order to enforce the liabilities. So it's a warning that people should really know, directors and members of CCs should really know that you cannot hide from your obligations by having your entity finally deregistered. So it's a yes and a no answer.
So are you also under obligation to deregister your employees' tax?
Unfortunately, employee tax is not with the SABC. That's pay as you earn, and that resides under SARS. So the general principle is that once you have finally deregistered, because we give the entity life and deregistration take that legal personality away, once you've got the final deregistration notification is to take it to SARS in order to finalize all the matters there, a workman's compensation, wherever your business was registered for benefits or for other government purposes, to go there and to finalize those matters as well with them.
All right, so you are dealing with the entity, so irrespective of whether or not they have employees. Thank you so much for your time and your insights, Advocate Christa Klokow, Senior Manager, Companies and Closed Corporations at Companies and Intellectual Property Commission. We're going to